Tombstone, George Pete Cosmato's 1993 classic, is a sprawling homage to the Wild West, known for its gritty depictions, sprawling vistas, and legendary gunfights. And while it's renowned for its precise historical portrayal and memorable performances, one element from the film stands out in a curious way: the character of Doc Holliday, specifically, the vast amounts of sweat dripping from Val Kilmer's brow. It might sound trivial, but Kilmer's sweat has become one of the defining visual aspects of his performance. Some viewers have even suggested that the excessive perspiration detracts from the otherwise flawless portrayal. However, there are two very logical, though distinct, reasons why Holliday is constantly sweating throughout the film, each of which enhances the movie's legacy in its own way. And both explanations actually tie into the larger narrative and tone of Tombstone, elevating the sweaty details from simple oversight to artistic choice. The historic and health-related answer. The real Doc Holliday, the man who inspired the character in Tombstone, was far from the invincible gunslinger depicted in popular culture. In fact, by the time of the historical events featured in the film, Holliday was already struggling with tuberculosis, a disease that was both physically taxing and incredibly sweaty. Symptoms of tuberculosis include heavy sweating, fever, and debilitating respiratory issues, each of which would contribute to Holliday's notorious appearance in the film. While Tombstone takes place in the late 1870s to early 1880s, when Holliday was still alive, his suffering from tuberculosis would have only worsened as time went on, eventually taking his life in 1887. The choice to depict Holliday drenched in sweat mirrors this historical fact. Though tuberculosis wasn't solely responsible for his excessive perspiration during the time of the movie's events, it serves as a subtle, poetic homage to the man's eventual demise. Kilmer's sweat is also a key narrative device. It's a testament to his character's internal and external battles, facing down death as much as he faces down enemies, and it gives the impression that his body, much like his mind, is always on the verge of breaking down. It turns an ordinary physical trait into something symbolic of Holliday's physical fragility, underscoring the tension that lay in his seemingly endless struggle against his terminal illness. The production answer. Harsh filming conditions. While the above explanation ties into Doc Holliday's character arc, it's also important to note the very real challenges that the production crew faced in bringing Tombstone to life on screen. Filmed in Arizona during the unforgiving desert heat of May 1993, conditions were extreme. Temperatures soared well above 100 degrees Fahrenheit 37 degrees Celsius nearly every day, and one particularly brutal afternoon reached a blistering 134 degrees Fahrenheit 56 degrees Celsius. Actors and crew alike suffered from the heat, and Val Kilmer, along with others, could not escape the effects. It is not just Doc Holliday's character, but the entire cast that dealt with this stifling environment. In the spirit of historical accuracy, the costume department made period-appropriate outfits for the actors, often choosing heavy wool and cotton fabrics that, while accurate for the time, did little to mitigate the desert heat. These outfits caused considerable discomfort, contributing directly to Kilmer's perspiration. Thus, Kilmer's sweat wasn't just a performance choice. It was a byproduct of the brutal working conditions in which Tombstone was filmed. This level of realism contributes to the raw and authentic feel of the film, underscoring the physical intensity of life in the Wild West. A dual purpose: sweat as character and context. While Tombstone isn't focused solely on Doc Holliday, Kilmer's portrayal is undeniably pivotal. His portrayal of the legendary gunslinger is multifaceted, combining the man's sardonic wit, ruthless bravado, and palpable mortality. The sweat that drenches him helps to ground this character, making him all the more human and vulnerable despite his bravado. From a filmmaking perspective, the heavy sweat serves as more than just a health issue or a historical nod. It's an additional tool to weave the themes of Tombstone into the viewer's experience. It draws a direct connection between Holliday's physical decline, the oppressive desert conditions, and the larger inevitability of death that hangs over the film. This interplay between character and context makes the scene transitions from action to reflection that much more poignant. Conclusion: a sweaty detail that amplifies Tombstone's legacy. Doc Holliday's infamous sweat isn't just an oddity or a performance quirk. It serves the narrative on multiple levels. From offering a subtle historical layer to the character to demonstrating the real-world challenges faced by the cast, Val Kilmer's perspiration amplifies the gritty authenticity of Tombstone. It's both a fitting tribute to the historical Holliday and an unavoidable consequence of filming in sweltering desert heat, underscoring how art and life often intersect in the harshest of environments. Kilmer's version of Doc Holliday may have a perpetually damp forehead, but rather than detracting from the performance, it deepens the portrayal, becoming one of the signature marks of a character whose every moment is laced with both defiance and vulnerability.